Welcome back, guys. The Pluribus season finale was somewhat as weird as the show itself. And there are so many details I want to share with you. I know, many of you are disappointed with the finale. If you're expecting the season finale of Pluribus to give you hope or a clear moral victory, you're gonna be pissed. Because it doesn't. It even brings more questions, like Lost.
It's never been easy!
But that's exactly the way it works. This finale doesn't try to solve Pluribus, it completes it. Let me explain. The episode starts with one of the immune survivors, Kusumayu, looking at the sky and seeing a plane carrying the virus where she asks, "Is this it?" As if losing her soul is something jelly. The plane carries the virus, especially engineered for Kusumayu's immune system, since she volunteered to join the others in order to be with her family in the first episodes. Because who wouldn't, right? I wouldn't. We see the plane landing and a man takes a mysterious box from it and loads it in the truck. Next, we see Kusumaya's whole village standing together in a kind of ritualistic gathering, while the virus arrives by a car in a mysterious biohazard-looking box. We see Kusumaya's petting a baby goat. No, not Messi or Ronaldo kind of goat, but a real goat, which appears to be her favorite animal. She's anxious and looks like she's having second thoughts, but the others reassure her, saying it's wonderful, yada yada. Then they all gather together and start singing while her aunt opens the bio box and Kusumaya smells what appears to be the virus, especially engineered from her stem cells. After smelling the virus, she first loses consciousness and then joins the others and gives us a big creepy smile. The whole village stops the ritual and goes back to their jobs as if nothing happened. In fact, they seem to be leaving the village altogether. Here we see Kusumaya going to open the gate of the animals in order to free them. Her favorite animal, the goat, starts running and crying after Kusumayu, who no longer has any affection for the animal. To be honest, this part broke my heart especially. Then we see Carol and Zosha watching Monisus driving on a highway on a TV in a very creepy stalking way, and the live feed is being taken from a drone. Carol then asks why he's in ambulance, and Zosha answers, it's a long story. Here we see that the others cannot lie but can perfectly withhold information they do not want to share. Carol asks if Monisus is dangerous. Here Zosha answers in a slightly manipulative way. We don't think that he'd ever hurt you. Well, that's not a no, Zosha, thanks for the gaslighting. Which is absolutely crazy to hear, because as we see Monisus, he's not a dangerous type. Nor do the others know him well enough to say that he might be dangerous. As Monisus arrives, he honks the horn and Carol comes out. They say hi to each other. Monisus then says, "I wish to save the world." Carol invites Monisus inside, but says, "Hey, please, leave your machete out." Here we understand that Zosha's manipulative way of describing Monisus made Carol more suspicious and even more paranoid. Monisus puts the machete back into the ambulance, opens the ambulance door and says, "Come, we talk here in the ambulance." And this is classic human emotional mirroring. If you don't trust me, I don't trust you. Monisus insists on talking in the ambulance, so does Carol. No, we talk in the casa. Because, well, they're both stubborn smartasses. Being human requires full autonomy, even if it's dumb not to trust each other. Because there are only 13 people in the world, Carol and Monisus are extremely suspicious of each other, unlike Carol being suspicious of the others, because she trusts them more than she trusts Monisus. At the end, Carol and Zosha have been sleeping for a while, right? Carol then takes her phone to translate that she does not want to get in the ambulance with a complete stranger, and Monisus throws it in the drain, which causes Carol to flip out, as usual. Monisus then retrieves the phone and invites Carol outside for a talk and says, "Okay, you win. No ambulance. But I need an umbrella to prevent others from listening to our conversation." And he says, "You win," as if they have to win something over each other. We'll get back to that later. An important point here, we see Monisus is as suspicious as Carol was in the first episodes, when the survivors met each other on air for fun, where Carol explicitly asks Zosha to turn off every microphone in the conference room. Thus, we see that Carol's distrust or dislike toward the others has changed. She has become calmer with the others over the last 2 months. Because, well, she's happy. We'll get back to it later as well. While Menusius explains Carol why the others would want to listen to their conversation, he mentions, why would they bring two humans together who want to destroy them? Carol opposes this and says they are human, and we cannot destroy them. Yada yada. Menusius responds, these weirdos stole everyone's soul. If we can't fix them, they're better off dead. This is so important because something about this comes later in the episode. Carol says they're still human, not evil. They can't even hurt an ant. Menusius then points out whether a human life is not as important as ant's life and asks Carol why the others turned back if they abandoned her. We see the contradiction on Carol's face because she wanted them to come back. She was lonely enough to accept Zosha's present instead of being completely lonely. Carol lies here and says she doesn't know why they're back. Then goes into the house saying either they talk inside or not at all. Because Menusius exposes Carol's contradiction to herself, she lies. Because deep down, she knows she's slowly giving in to others for her own benefit. This is not entirely different from Diabetes' approach since the beginning. If you can't change it, well, enjoy the shit out of your life. When they're inside the house, Menusius looks for a bug and finds a device built into the liquor cabinet. Carol calls Zosha to ask if they're spying on her. She then learns Helen put it there in 2011 to monitor Carol's drinking while Carol was giving her eggs to be frozen. The others reveal another secret about Carol's life partner after revealing that Helen didn't even like Carol's book in the previous episodes. Carol then moves Menusius next door and gets herself drunk again. Menusius calls the others and have a little chit-chat with Zosha in the meantime to ask questions. As Carol wakes up in the night and sees Zosha's car parked outside Menusius' house, she goes over and asks Zosha what she told him, and learns everything. As Carol takes Zosha back into her house, she asks why she told him everything. Zosha answers, because we love him, in the same way we love you. Carol rejects this completely and says, you don't love him the way you love me, right? Here we see that Carol has been slowly distorting her own reality to be able to survive with the others. She believes Zosha loves her differently, individually, like any other human would, and forgets that the joining has no human-like feelings. She rejects this truth and adapts by saying, you're my chaperone, mine, which is another contradiction, because Carol deeply believes in human autonomy and free will. Here we see she is starting to accept her new environment, moves into denial. This shows how humans adapt to any situations, even if it requires that we have to gaslight ourselves to survive. Menusius calls for another one of the survivors to interrogate. The others experience another seizure because Menusius upsets them while interrogating. You remember Menusius' radio, where he was listening to different frequencies and heard a distorted sound at frequency 8.613.0? He uses the radio again and causes another seizure, noticing that the signal changes when the others lose connection, from a mechanical sound to an alien-like sound. He whispers into the ear of the man whose seizure he caused. Come back, I know you can hear me. This suggests when the others have seizures, they temporarily lose connection to the collective consciousness, and the original human consciousness becomes accessible. Long story short, Carol interrupts Menusius and locks him in the trunk of a car. When she then releases him, he asked a very important question, La chica o el mundo, which is the title of the episode, and which translates to the girl or the world. The others leave town, just as they did before with Carol, and Carol goes with Zosha on a holiday to see the most beautiful places on earth, almost like a honeymoon. In the mountains, during a conversation with Zosha, Carol says she feels really good. Zosha explained what happens in the brain when someone is happy, listing the hormones, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin. Carol says, I must have every happy chemical flowing in my bloodstream. This shows how human experience is reduced to neurochemical processes. That reminds me again of social media. As long as we get our dopamine supply, we're fulfilled. Zosha then reveals that they no longer need sampling Carol's stem cells anymore. They're already developing the virus using her frozen eggs from 2011. Carol realizes once again that the others will never allow her full autonomy. Even though they say they need her consent, once they have individual virus ready for her, she will have nowhere to hide. Zosha reminds her of the joining being imperative. Remember what she said in earlier episodes? If you see someone drowning, wouldn't you throw them a life preserver? At the end of the finale, Carol returns home by helicopter, which carries a huge metal box and lands in front of her house. She exits the helicopter alone, without her chaperone, Zosha. Manisha sees the box and wonders what it is. Carol says, "You win. We save the world." Again, as if it's a war between them to win over each other, like Manisha said earlier. You win. When Manisha then asks what's inside the box, Carol replies, "Atom bomb." She now stands exactly where Manisha stood earlier. If we can't fix them, they're better off dead. The most powerful moment in the finale isn't a speech, it's silence. Carol hesitates, not because she's forced, but because she's tempted. Joining isn't evil, resistance isn't heroic, but choice itself has become fragile. The finale feels unsatisfying to some people because it doesn't punish the system. There is no final rebellion, no explosion, no victory music. Instead, Pluribus ends closer to real life. People adapt, people rationalize, people quietly choose comfort over autonomy. Remember from my other season breakdown video? Choice is abundant, but meaningful freedom is scarce. Identity is infinite, but authenticity is rare. Complexity increases, but clarity decreases. But in the end, we still choose by our own free will. Pluribus isn't about hive minds. It's about modern consent. Not forced obedience, but voluntary surrender to the system. The show ends where resistance becomes harder than submission. Pluribus doesn't end with a message. It ends with a mirror. And the question it leaves us isn't, what would you do? It is, at what point would you stop resisting? Alright, thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment and like the video and subscribe so I can make more of these videos. Thank you. Bye.